The State Line Sports Hour continues on News Talk 1440 WROK.
Good morning, everybody. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Mr. Rogers would have loved today. Hey, May 31st, 2014. And we're happy to have our next guest, but we're not happy about why we're talking to him because he has really been a joy to work with over the years. He's the athletic director at Hononegah, Mr. Jay Lauscher, who's retiring. I think his last day is June 17th. And Jay, congratulations. You finally made it, I guess, huh?
Yeah, thank you, Dave. It's kind of bittersweet, though, actually. You do this job for the amount of years that I've done and the relationships you build up over those years. That's going to be tough to leave, but I'm excited about the next chapter of my life, and we'll be moving to Florida, and I hope to enjoy that, too.
You know, every time I would walk into a game or something, I would look at you and say, this is the last time you're going to have to do this. We did that a lot this year, me and you.
Yes, we did. That countdown started, obviously, in the fall, and as you get closer to those final games, those final matches and competitions, you start thinking about reflecting back on all the things you've done over the years and the relationships you've made with kids and parents and coaches and media types like yourself. And, again, it's going to be bittersweet.
You know, you got to be enjoying the finish here, though. I mean, the softball team wins a regional championship. You got the baseball team fighting for one today. You're having some good times at the end here.
Right. And this time of the year is always exciting because it's do or die. It's a one-game playoff. And yesterday, softball advanced to the sectional at Jacobs next Wednesday, and we're hoping the baseball team will advance today.
Yeah, when I got a hold of you today, I said, hey, you going to be up early in the morning so you can do that? Yeah, I'm going to be in the office doing some paperwork. Do you ever leave home? Does your wife even know what you look like? Will she think she's going with some strange man to Florida?
Well, no, actually, it's I'm beginning the process of cleaning out my office, starting to put things in boxes and those type of things and figuring out what I need to throw out and what I need to save. There's a lot of memories here, and there's a lot of things I want to bring, but the wife's saying, no, we just have room for so much, so I have to kind of figure out what I need to bring and what I need to throw out, so.
What would be the biggest misconception or something that somebody doesn't know that's never done the job of what an athletic director does?
They have no concept of the amount of hours we as athletic directors put in during the course of a year. Obviously they see us at the games and they think that's a fairly easy job. You just go to games, but there's a lot of preparation that goes into that. The hiring the officials and setting up transportation and getting the gyms, the courts, the fields prepared, that type of thing. That's all the background work that people don't see. But it's very time consuming, especially in the wintertime when there are multiple activities going on within the building, and you're kind of required to be there for most of them.
And it seems it has changed over the years, hasn't it? It went from being probably didn't have girl sports back in the old days, but then all of a sudden girl sports came in. I mean, all of a sudden things have changed. I don't think people realize that just added more things to an athletic director's job.
Right, yeah. And it's multiple activities, and I have no problem with any of these because they're labors of love for me. I've loved sports for a long time, and I've loved working with young people. So it's never really been a job for me, although I will tell you in the last 4 to 5 years, I kind of was waiting for the spring break to come by because the winter months are very grueling.
How much has the job changed just with, especially probably in the last, maybe 15 years or so with the rise of football and just how important that is? How much has that kind of changed your overall job? Because that seems to really drive a lot of what happens.
Right, and you see it now more than you've ever seen it before is the commitment level that both the kids and the coaches are doing as far as, back when I was, in school a long time ago, there was definite beginnings and ends of seasons. Mm-hmm. Now those are kind of blurred with off-season activities and summer camps and those type of things and contact days. That's increased tremendously over the years, and that's something you just didn't see, 20 years ago, the amount of commitment that both the coaches and the players are required to attend.
We're talking with Hononegah Athletic Director Jay Lauscher. He's retiring. He'll be done in June 17th, heading off to Florida. When you look back on it, you've been doing this for a long time. You haven't always been in Hononegah, have you?
No, I've got a total of 32 years doing this. I spent my first 19 years at Key School in Rockford, wonderful place to work. I kind of cut my teeth there as an athletic director, and then 2 years at Alden Hebron as a assistant principal athletic director, and then it was 3 years at Harlem as athletic director, and I'm just finishing up my 8th year here at Hononegah.
So when you look back at over all those years, what are some of the moments you remember, as you get ready to retire? What's some of your favorite moments?
Yeah, you remember always the good times, those championships, those regional final wins, those sectional final wins, those type of things. Those are huge, but there's certain kids you always remember over the years of being those type of kids that they may not have been the most gifted, the most talented, but boy, they gave you everything they had, and kids that still to this day will give me a call or stop me at a game and just say thank you for something you've done for them, and that's the biggest satisfaction I've gotten out of this job is just the number of relationships I've had over the years with kids and adults and coaches, those type of things. And with kids, it's never usually right after a season. It's usually a couple of years afterwards when they're in college or off to an adult life, and they'll see you someplace in a store or at a game, and they'll remember certain things about what happened during a season, and they've got far better memories than I do about particular games and situations, but they remember it, and I think that's kind of neat.
Has high school sports gotten too big? Are we almost like a college level or pro sports level with the way things are going nowadays?
Well, you're starting to see that, and I think in baseball with all the report that came out with the amount of UCL injuries of elbows, and they're talking about the fact that there's been overuse of kids growing up in baseball. Specialization has been the biggest change that I've seen over the years. You now have kids who commit to one sport and one sport only. I'm not exactly sure that's the healthiest thing, but that's been the biggest change I've seen over the years, that you don't see those multiple sport athletes like you used to see. You see kids committing to one sport, and that's all they do, and I'm not sure that's a healthy situation.
Let's put on the hypothetical hat for a moment. Let's say you were the new AD coming in to replace you. What's some of the things you would be focusing on, as a new person coming in?
Well, coaches are always they're trying to do the best they can, but I think that the amount of hours they put in sometimes I think are counterproductive. I just think that they spend so much time with kids and planning for the season and at practices and things. And in a perfect world, I would tell them, hey, we need to slow down a little bit. You need to think about yourself, think about your family, and kind of get back to the way it used to be, where again there were definite beginnings and ends of season, and there weren't these blurred lines like you see now with just everything going on. There just doesn't seem to be any stop. I mean, everything's just going 24/7, 365 days a year, and that's one thing I would guide new coaches into doing, and just to kind of take a step back and breathe a little bit and take some time off. There's nothing bad about taking some time off every now and then.
The nice part, I guess, is that there's an AD in waiting in Hononegah. Can you tell us about your replacement that's coming in?
Yeah.
He hasn't chickened out yet, has he, Jay?
No, he hasn't. Steve Kofod is one of our assistant principals, and he actually did this job in a previous life, so it's not like he's coming in unprepared. He's done this job before, and he and I have sat down, and we've kind of gone over things, the way we do things now compared to the way he was doing them years ago, and he's got a pretty good sense of how this office works, and he's a Hononegah grad, so he knows a lot of the kids and the parents already, so he'll do a fine job.
Anything on your way out the door that you're looking to get done before you leave, to kind of leave a last mark there?
Well, not really. I'm just trying to prepare everything. In this business, you're always thinking ahead, 6 months ahead, a year ahead. So right now I'm working on spring schedules for next year, trying to wrap all that up before I leave so that Steve doesn't have to chase down a lot of these schools to try to get contracts for next year's competitions. And you try to do that before the end of the school year, because once the school year ends, a lot of these ADs and athletic offices close down over the summer. So I'm trying to get as much done for him as possible, so that's less on his plate for next year.
And it's the last time you have to do that, Jay.
This is true. That's absolutely true, Dave.
Hey, I always bug you about the conference situation. And are you glad you didn't have to go through all those conference changes that a lot of the area conferences are going through now? Because that really would have been a lot of work.
Right. We've been blessed in this particular area, because this conference has been a close-knit conference for years. I tell people, I tell coaches all the time, we are absolutely spoiled by the travel that we have in this conference, or lack of travel. When you're farthest trip is Freeport. That's not a bad situation. I talked to other ADs, and I've been involved in other situations where road trips were just horrendous. But this has been a real good situation here. And again, we've got a very close-knit conference. It's been very tight for a number of years. I really don't see much changing in the next 5 to 10 years from the Nick 10 standpoint.
Were you ever concerned? I know when Belvedere North did their split and became Belvedere and Belvedere North, you guys were really close to that, weren't you, at one time, and maybe having another Hononegah high school?
Right. When I first got here 8 years ago, that talk was fairly prevalent about adding a second high school. In fact, we went as far as purchasing land for that. But you saw a leveling off of the enrollment, which was the major catalyst for the talk of two high schools. Was the enrollment were increases were very strong at that particular time. But things have kind of leveled off, and I really don't see the need for building a second high school, nor do I think there will be a second high school built here at Hononegah.
Do you know, is there any talk of any changes for the school itself? I know a lot of the schools around here are going to the turf field, things like that. Is there any talk like that?
Yeah, we've had some discussions, and we've had a committee formed, but we've really not had anything decided at this point. Yeah, you kind of look around and you see what other schools are doing, and yes, you'd like to have that those situations, but we don't have anything formally in place yet.
This fall, when you're in Florida, are you going to go to at least one football game just to see what it looks like when you don't have to do one?
Yeah, a good friend of mine teaches and coaches down there.
Nice.
He tells me Florida football is a different animal, and one thing he was stressing to me that on Friday nights in Florida, they play one game, the varsity level game, and that's 7 o'clock. That's statewide. You have the one football game on Friday night, the varsity level, and it's always played at 7 o'clock throughout the state. He says it's kind of a different animal down there compared to here. In fact, they're just finishing up spring football practice down there, which I find just mind-boggling that they have spring football in some of these southern states. But he said it's a big deal down there. So I'll go to a game at Pasco High School, which is the high school in the town I'll be living in. I just want to kind of experience what Florida football is all about.
Is that near Spring Hill? Is that right down there by Spring?
Yeah, not too far. It's in the Zephyr Hill, Spring Hill, Brooksville area. It's just
nice.
About half hour north of Tampa.
Yeah, my sister lived in Spring Hill. When you said Pasco, that's why I recognize that. So you're going.
Yeah, it's a small town, and we're about a half hour outside of Tampa. So if I'm looking for something to do and to go to a game, I can always go to Tampa.
You'll be one of the younger guys in that area, won't you?
More than likely.
Because my dad went down there and said, "There's a lot of old people driving down there." And I looked at my dad and I says, "How old are they?" And he goes, "They're pretty old." Hey, Jay, thanks so much for all you did. You know, when I would ask you a question, you would always get back to me quickly and let me know. You may not have the answer, but you would always let me know what was going on. And I appreciate it. I'm sure going to miss you when I go to a Hononegah sporting event.
Well, thank you, Dave. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years, and good luck to you, too.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We've been talking to Jay Lauscher. You know what? Hononegah is one of the biggest schools in the Nick 10.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it might be the biggest. I'm not sure if it's that or Harlem. One of them's the bigger one.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I want to say Harlem might be a little bit bigger, but I could be mistaken on that.
Big schools have a lot of things, and there's a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he did a great job.
He did a phenomenal job there. That's for sure.
We're going to miss him. Good luck to the new guy. I always I wonder if you go through that little, you start shaking, oh man, I got to do this. We're going to take a time out. We'll be back with our wrap-up here today on the State Line Sports Hour here on News Talk 1440 WROK.